Today, we are a direct threat to all European banks. European banks, you will soon be witnessing the most powerful cyber attack in the recent history of the world. Be prepared, because when we strike, it will be too late to make amends. Many European banks will be targeted and we will hit without mercy.
World has gone mad. The reason for this is money. If God rules Russia, then who rules Europe? That's right, the banking system. No money, no problem. Revel is sufficiently familiar with the European financial infrastructure. See you soon.
This is not a DDoS attack. Games are over. We call on all active groups to engage in destructive activities against the European banking system. No money, no weapons, no keyed regime. This is the formula for the death of Nazism, and it will work. Within 48 hours we are launching this global company. Nothing will save you, and this is not a warning. I am just informing you. You have never seen such problems before. We are killing it.
What's up, guys? It is Friday, June 16th. It's 11:06 a.m. And in that video you just saw, so supposedly that was Anonymous or Killnet of Russia, which is like an anonymous hacking group. And they had released this about, I think it was like yesterday, like 24 hours ago. And they said the entire banking system, they're looking to destroy within 48 hours, especially Europe. They were outlining in that. But then we saw yesterday that US federal government agencies hit in a global cyber attack, and the CISA working urgently to understand the impacts. And then we had this, so this was about the news of the cyber attack, and several US government agencies have been hit in a global hacking campaign that exploited a vulnerability in widely used software, the US Cyber Watchdog Agency said. And federal agencies had experienced intrusions following the discovery of a weakness in the file transfer software MoveIt. And then we had more about that. So let me go to that. So now listen to these. So this is kind of a reply to that post about the federal government agencies getting hit. So now let's listen to this.
In the next 2 weeks, we've been warned, there's going to be darkness. We're almost at a point of grid collapse. It's a reality that South Africans must know, that we're heading to darkness, and ANC politicians are continuing business as usual, as if we're not in a crisis. We are in a deep, deep, deep crisis. Cell phone networks will not work. Water, even if we have it, we won't receive it because it needs electricity.
So him saying cell phone networks won't work, we're heading to a great collapse, we're heading into darkness. And he said in the next 2 weeks, that was around the tail end of May. So now we're sitting around 2 weeks later, and now we're seeing this happen. But then listen to this.
My administration issued renewed warnings that based on evolving intelligence, Russia may be planning a cyber attack against us. And as I said, the magnitude of Russia's cyber capacity is fairly consequential. And it's coming. The federal government is doing its part to get ready. But under U.S. law, as you all remember, the private sector, all of you, largely decides the protections that you will or will not take.
So he's saying that they're preparing for it and that it is coming. And then this.
Immediate action to shore up their defenses against potential cyber attacks. We've previously warned about the potential for Russia to conduct cyber attacks against the United States, including as a response to the unprecedented economic costs that the U.S. and allies and partners impose in response to Russia's further invasion of Ukraine. Today, we are reiterating those warnings, and we're doing so based on evolving threat intelligence that the Russian government is exploring options for potential cyber attacks on critical infrastructure in the United States.
There we go. And then in the video from last week, I believe I had shared and I'll pull it up, but let me.
We're here today to share the findings of the World Economic Forum's Global Security Outlook Report 2023. This is a result of research in collaboration with the forum's communities and our partner Accenture, in which we've interviewed and sought input from over 300 executives globally. The most striking finding that we found is that 93% of cyber leaders and 86% of cyber business leaders believe that the geopolitical instability makes a catastrophic cyber event likely in the next 2 years.
In the next 2 years, a catastrophic cyber event. And then I'm going to pull up that video that I had shared from like a week ago or 2 weeks ago about the same thing. So this was from May 31st.
Well, tonight, the nation's intelligence agencies are warning of cyber threats from Russia and are urging U.S. critical infrastructure defenses to be reinforced. As CBS's Bill Whitaker reported on Sunday night's 60 Minutes, it wouldn't take much to throw the entire country into darkness.
The grid is a sprawling target. There are actually 3 in the U.S., the Eastern, Western, and Texas has its own. Most of us rarely notice substations. There are 55,000 across the country, each housing transformers, the workhorses of the grid. Inside these massive metal boxes, raw electricity is converted to higher or lower voltages. Should a transformer explode, like this one in Manhattan during Superstorm Sandy, the system is designed to trigger a localized grid-preserving blackout. But if several sections of the grid go down at the same time, the shutdowns can cascade like dominoes. That's what set off the Great Northeast Blackout in 2003, leaving 45 million Americans without power. A few months before the assault on Metcalf, John Wellinghoff of FERC commissioned a study to see if a physical attack on critical transformers could trigger cascading blackouts.
It was actually a very shocking result to us that there's very few number of substations you need to take out on the entire United States to knock out the entire grid.
Knock out the entire grid?
That's correct.
How many would it take to knock out putting the entire country in a blackout?
Less than 20.
And Bill Whitaker joins us now. So, Bill, just 20 substations to knock out the entire system? I mean, that's unbelievable. But your reporting is it could be even less than that.
That's right, Nora. That report was from 2013, and it actually found the number was even lower, 9. Taking out just 9 critical substations could black out the whole country. We were told by multiple sources that the number has not changed much, that less than 20 is a fair assessment.
So there we go. So all the signs are pointing to this happening. I don't know if it's going to happen within the next 48 hours, but you can tell that the narrative is accelerating on that. So let's go into the next thing here, and this could have something to do with it as well too, but ISO20022 implementing the global payments messaging standard within CHAPS and RTGS. So the new messaging standard for CHAPS, bank's real-time gross settlement system will migrate to the ISO20022 messaging standard, and it's going to facilitate the sending of enhanced data in a richer, more structured format than currently, which will bring a wide range of benefits. It's an open international standard, which has the potential to create a single common language for most payments globally. So in addition to the UK, many major jurisdictions are also implementing ISO 20022 ahead of November 2025, when SWIFT is scheduled to retire its existing MT message standard for payments. So they're going to be doing this June 19th. When is that? In 3 days, so on Sunday. Payment users may have to make changes to the way they send and receive payments. Users will also need to adapt to the new data requirements, which will become mandatory from November 2024 onwards. So that's happening this weekend, June 19th, 2023. You have this going, and then summer 2024, you have that, and then November 2025 completion. So there's a whole handbook here. I'll save that for a deep dive. But then we go into the next thing, because Blackrock is taking their shot at a spot Bitcoin ETF with a fresh SEC filing. It's likely that they're going to get that approved. We saw in one of the videos, the newsletters I did a week ago, the head of George Soros's fund management, the investment fund, had said now's the perfect time for traditional finance to step in and take the place and lead the charge for this digital asset maturation and this coming to market and being adopted, and for them to be at the charge of that. And we're seeing that take place by BlackRock doing this. So then we have also Bank of England a step closer to launching a digital pound after Project Rosalind study. Work with the BIS found a range of new products CBDC could support. Treasury has yet to decide whether to back a digital currency, but they're gonna. And basically, you have the Quant CEO or the founder saying, I'm incredibly proud to be able to announce that Quant Network has been collaborating with the Bank for International Settlements and the Bank of England on Project Rosalind, a project designing and implementing a CBDC API and platform testing use cases for CBDCs with financial service participants. We were chosen to provide the technology because of our history of innovation, expertise in financial services, and deep experience in payments. Previously running mission critical infrastructure, only we can do what the project needed from a technology partner and payments expert. The project has produced tangible real world examples that tested how CBDCs could support a more digitalized economy in the future, working with participants like Bank of Canada, Barclays, MasterCard, and Amazon, who built and tested new CBDC payment flows on the platform. CBDCs are coming. I encourage every bank, financial institution to read the Project Rosalind report and start planning their smart money infrastructure strategy. So that was public confirmation, and Quant's up based off that news. But working with these heavyweights here and Bank of International Settlement, Bank of England, plus you have ISO going into effect for Bank of England this weekend. It's all directly tied together. Then we have this. So Ripple versus SEC case to be resolved within days, says a SEC veteran. So if we go down, the longstanding legal battle between Ripple Labs and the SEC is set to reach a decisive point in the coming days, according to an industry veteran. Mark Bagel, a former attorney who served as the SEC San Francisco regional director, shared his insights on the case, suggesting that a ruling could be imminent. His response came to a tweet from an XRP community member who expressed concerns over the possibility of the SEC dropping its lawsuits before summary judgment, potentially undermining the authority of the presiding judge. The tweet suggested that a delay in the ruling could strengthen the argument that the judge's decision was influenced by public reactions, and it would create further confusion, leading to speculation of intentional encouragement and greater uncertainty. So he replied, and he said that from the more recently filed SEC enforcement actions, she needn't even weigh in on the secondary market trading. Her ruling is unlikely to address the emails. Ripple didn't move for SJ on fair notice and is likely to go to a jury, so still far off. One caveat, I could see the ruling referencing the emails insofar the evidence legal uncertainty in connection with the ruling of the individual defense liability, not a sure thing, but possible. But he had also said a former attorney tried to avoid speculation, but his opinion that a ruling could be expected within days. So he stated that any delay in the case was likely due to its complexity and not an indication of ulterior motives. But he said days. Let's go to it. So I try to avoid speculating, but my guess is a ruling is coming within days. Even if I'm wrong, there's no basis to think the delay is due to anything beyond the complexity of the case. I don't understand the greater confusion point. We're both substantially different. That's crazy. So we'll have to see if this happens over the weekend. But it'd be perfect timing if there were to be a cyber attack and that were to come out, and then you can't buy it, right? Then we had USDT issuer Tether responds to Chinese securities exposure report. USDT issuer Tether said they do not condone the behavior of the media outlets and highlighted the materials presented do not reflect what Tether is at present. They released this. So everything you need to know about Tether and what they shared with the New York Attorney General's office, they released this whole report and really laid it all out there, being a little more transparent than usual. So they settled with the New York Attorney General's office, and I don't think, because there was like a freedom of information kind of like, what is it called? Request to get like what was settled on in this report. And they had released it today. So this was the Tether CEO over here. I believe it's a CEO or CTO. As announced yesterday, Tether decided to stop the opposition to the FOIL matter in the US in favor of transparency for our industry. Today, the information has been digested and used by a few media outlets, starting from Bloomberg. Others will follow soon. The information disclosed from NYAG to these parties covers, and he goes into it all. And so they're trying to be a little more transparent about everything. So there we go. So we're not going to dive fully into that, but we're going to keep on moving. And France France's Macron hopes to attend BRICS summit in South Africa. So, and I think the video I did yesterday for the newsletter talked about European countries wanting to join BRICS for the first time ever. And it looks like France is one of them. So his participation in the multipolar bloc summit is uncertain. He's already scheduled another summit in Paris to discuss the establishment of a fairer financial system. And he said he would look to want to join that summit. And that is supposed to, so there's actually a summit in Paris expected to bring together around 40 heads of states and governments as well, June 22nd to June 23rd. But he's looking for to go to the summit in August for the BRICS. But this one, France's foreign ministry announced that the summit for a new global financing pact will lay the groundwork for a new, fairer, and more solidarity-based financial system and set a course toward a new, more balanced financial partnership between the global South and North. So we got to keep this on the radar for June 22nd and June 23rd. Then I believe June 24th, we have the Bank for International Settlements report on the Common Unified Ledger. So a lot of things lined up right now, and that's just a week away. Then we have BRICS. 30 countries participate to ditch the US dollar as a global reserve currency. This was announced today or yesterday, and they hinted that the alliance could expand this year, becoming BRICS Plus. The move could add pressure on the US dollar as developing nations would end their reliance on the greenback. The global financial order could tilt from the west to the east, creating a new multipolar economy. And 30 countries could accept the new currency. So these are all the countries that expressed their interest to join: Afghanistan, Algeria, Argentina, Bahrain, Bangladesh, Belarus, Egypt, Indonesia, Iran, Kazakhstan, Mexico, Nicaragua, Nigeria, Pakistan, Saudi Arabia, Senegal, Sudan, Syria, the United Arab Emirates, Thailand, Tunisia, Turkey, Uruguay, Venezuela, and Zimbabwe. And now we could throw France on that list. So the BRICS alliance consists of 5 countries: Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa. And yeah, so that's a lot of, heavyweights as far as the world's GDP goes. If these countries trade with the new BRICS currency that's set to be unveiled in August, it could end the reliance on the US dollar and the greenback could get hit. We're already seeing it get hit. The United States will find no means to fund its deficit and the economy could begin to crumble. I wonder if eventually the US is going to ask to join BRICS. Wouldn't be a surprise to me. But then we got this next. So the US government owns way more Bitcoin than any other country. So why aren't they selling it? So there's an incentive, because that is a good question. Why aren't they selling it? One, it would probably crash the market. But also, two, they have an incentive for the price to go up or to stay, to not go to zero if they hold that much. Or maybe they're holding that much, they haven't sold it yet because they're waiting for the time where they want it to go zero to sell it. So yeah, so that is interesting there. And they got it all from seizing it from the dark web and other kind of criminal organizations. Then JP Morgan says Ethereum could be put into other category by the US Congress. This was today. US lawmakers could put Ethereum into a new other category to avoid classifying it as a security, but to protect investors. The comments at the release of the Hinman documents earlier this week as part of an ongoing enforcement lawsuit against Ripple Labs by the SEC. And then it's possible that a new other category is introduced specific to Ethereum and other cryptocurrencies that are decentralized enough cryptocurrencies to avoid being designated as securities. So if that's the case, maybe Ripple or XRP could fall into that category as well. But on top of it, with that, we have this, which was a policy department for economic, scientific, and quality of life policies. I think this was from Europe. And it says, unlike Ethereum's inventors, Ripple's inventors did not sell a portion of XRP via a crowd sale upon XRP's creation to fund Ripple Labs. The company was privately funded. At present, it is not fully transparent how XRP is or will be further distributed in the future. And unlike Bitcoin and Ethereum, Ripple runs on a permission blockchain. This is because Ripple, the company behind XRP, determines who may act as a transaction validator on its network. The blockchain itself is considered public, as it can be accessed and viewed by anyone. Like Bitcoin, XRP can be directly converted into fiat currency on various exchanges, and Ripple is a medium of exchange, being accepted as a means of payment by a growing number of online merchants for various goods and services. There's recently even buzz and speculation on the internet that Amazon might be looking to adopt Ripple in the near future. And then Bitcoin, Ripple, XRP. So like Bitcoin, Ripple XRP can be qualified as a pseudonymous currency. And yeah, so we got a lot of gold right there as well too. Then we have, fun fact, BlackRock's record of getting ETFs approved by the SEC is 575 to 1. And that's another reason why this is so big. They don't play around. BlackRock gets their way. So by them doing this, this could be the catalyst, and it already has served as one, to mark the bottom and for us to go up. Because BlackRock launching this Bitcoin ETF or trust, it's like a seal of the deal. They're not going to deny BlackRock's their submission on this. This is going to happen, and it'll probably happen sooner than later. Then we have Ripple playbook exposing the SEC trying to hide the truth. This is story Alderati, legal counsel from Ripple.
But I think if you look at the defenses and the narrative around what some of the actors who are now on the wrong side of the V with the SEC, they are reading from the Ripple playbook, and that is perfectly fine with us.
Well, on that topic, we must bring up the two recent lawsuits that we've been talking about for the last 2 weeks, the SEC versus Coinbase and Binance. You're expecting a result in your case, I think, by the end of September. How do you think that the result of the Ripple case or even the revelation of the Hinman documents might be of aid to Coinbase or Binance as they fight their own legal battle?
Look, I think transparency is an important thing. I think that it is really disheartening as a lawyer, as an American, that we have a regulatory agency that is fighting so hard to hide the truth, and in using, again, deliberate creation of confusion and chaos as a weapon. They weaponize regulation by enforcement. So anything that can shine a bright light on the SEC's tactics here, I think is a very good thing. I think exposing that the SEC themselves identified a regulatory gap in the space that they themselves understood they probably didn't have the authority to fill is a really important revelation. People forget sometimes that these agencies only have the power that is granted to them by Congress, and they answer to Congress. They can't create law. They have to apply the law, and they have to apply the law faithfully, and the SEC has woefully failed to do that. So I think that will give other industry players that now find themselves in a courtroom with the SEC a leg up to start with. And obviously, the substantive application of the law is very, very important. And as we get clarity in the courts, I think the knock-on effects of that will prove to be beneficial to others who find themselves in this position.
There we go. So let's go into the next thing. And then just to follow up on yesterday's news, we had the Colombia Central Bank partnering with blockchain firm Ripple to explore the use of blockchain technology to improve its high-value payment system, and using Ripple's CBDC platform to conduct a pilot to test for the central bank digital currency. So more countries are hopping on board with Ripple and harnessing the power of the CBDC platform based upon the XRPL. And this project will pave the way for transformative advancements in the utilization of blockchain technology within the public sector. So that was huge news yesterday. Then also some more news was South Korea, top South Korean banks gear up for the 27 billion security token market. And they are looking to establish a trading ecosystem for corporate bonds. And several major lenders across South Korea have reportedly joined a bank consortium dedicated to security token offerings. And these are blockchain or DLC powered versions of traditional investments such as stocks or bonds, but it could also confer share ownership or other rights in real estate, investment funds, and even artwork. Huge markets there. And all of it's going to get tokenized. And we covered that in a newsletter the other day. The Chainlink founder saying that all things of value will be in a tokenized format and run through ISO20022 and connected to these blockchain networks. So it's projected that they plan to collaborate on developing platforms or issuing token securities. Ultimately, the goal is to establish a tokenized securities ecosystems where companies can issue tradable corporate bonds as security tokens. In 2023, prominent institutions, including Goldman Sachs and Siemens, have embraced tokenized assets in some form, and tokenization is becoming increasingly popular. Then we had think it was something out of Hong Kong. Oh, here it is. So then we had Hong Kong urges major banks to embrace crypto exchanges as clients. The city's banking regulator raised questions in a meeting about banks' hesitancy to welcome crypto exchanges as clients, and they want them to. So they had asked lenders include HSBC, Standard Chartered, and Bank of China. So in a recent meeting, the Hong Kong Monetary Authority, the city's banking regulator, questioned lenders about their hesitancy in accepting crypto exchanges as clients and are urging them to do so to take on this moment when the US is falling behind right now. To put it succinctly, if Hong Kong's crypto market manages to gain significant traction, it could potentially be the thing that kickstarts the next bull run. And I 100% agree with that. Then there was, I believe, one more thing from yesterday. Here it was. So the European CBDC digital euro bill was leaked yesterday, and it supposedly outlaws interest, large holdings, programmability. The central bank digital currency must be usable offline from day one to safeguard privacy, the draft law says. And this proposal is in draft, and it's set for June 28th is the end of the public comments. And the digital euro shall be available for both online and offline digital euro payment transactions as of the first issuance of the digital euro. And if you keep going down here, mandatory acceptance, the digital euro settlement infrastructure should seek to ensure adaptation to new technologies, including distributed ledger technology. And even though the ECB has not yet committed to using blockchain to underpin the CBDC, but if you look at the Digital Euro Association, they're calling all developers. Ripple's CBDC Innovate Challenge is back. Join the hackathon, submit your CBDC app idea by August 18th and compete for cash prizes. And then if we go to their actual website, we know that Ripple is one of their premium partners. Yeah, so our standard members, gold members, Ripple, silver members, RTGS.global, which Marcus Treacher just from Ripple just went over to head and be the head over there. Solaris, bronze members, Circle, and then these other ones. So they're going to do it. All these countries are going to do it. And that's going to be it for this newsletter, guys. A lot of big things happening as we speak. Got to be on our toes this weekend, it seems like. And we're getting closer and closer to the moment of mass adoption of crypto, as you can see. So that's going to be it. Join the Discord. Link will be in the bio. Come say what up. I'll say what up too. And I'll see you in the next video.